Welcome to the Ho-Ho Show.
Rated the #1 most listened to podcast on Pluto. So join us now as we discuss news, politics, current events, and so much more. So clear the airwaves and strap in as we
defend the Constitution, because freedom matters.
We are broadcasting live from the Cottage Studio, so welcome to the Ho-Ho Show, and as always, I am your host, Ho-Ho. So how y'all's doing? I hope you guys are doing good. I really do. And welcome a day trip over there in YouTube. Good to see you over there. He says, this is an exciting day, and absolutely, yes, it is. And it looks like I'm having issues on the video side, but everything looked to be doing okay on YouTube. I did check it out on my phone. If there's any issues, if you guys are having any issues with it, just let me know over there in the chat. I would definitely appreciate that. So guys, after a 3-week trial and on the 4th day of deliberation, Kyle Rittenhouse is finally found. Well, let's just go ahead and take a listen-see on this quick video that I got. I did kind of trim this down just a little bit, and by the way, thank you very much. He said, Day Trip said, looks great. I appreciate that. But let's go ahead and take a look-see at this video, and you guys can watch it for yourself. I did trim this down. I think it's only like 3 minutes. I trimmed it down from like an 8-minute video. But here you go for your viewing pleasure.
Members of the jury, have you...
it is kind of low, though.
Would you give your juror number, please?
54.
54. And has the jury reached a verdict as to each count of the information?
Yes, we have, Your Honor.
One verdict and one verdict only?
Yes.
Would you hand all of the paperwork to the bailiff, please?
This is the ones that you didn't know. Okay.
Everything?
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. May I see that too, please, Mrs. Chairman? Thank you. The defendant will rise and face the jury and hearken to its verdicts.
State of Wisconsin versus Kyle Rittenhouse. As to the first count of the information, Joseph Rosenbaum. We, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the second count of the information, Richard McGinnis. We, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the third count of the information, unknown male. We, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the fourth count of the information, Anthony Huber, we, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty. As to the fifth count of the information, Gage Grosskreutz, we, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty.
Members of the jury, are these your unanimous verdicts? Is there anyone who does not agree with the verdicts as read? Would you wish the jury polled? No. Okay. Okay, folks, your job is done, and we started. Mr. Richards?
Your Honor, judgment on the verdicts.
Any word from the state?
The jury has represented our community in this trial and has spoken.
All right, the motion of the defendant is granted. The charges against the defendant on all counts are dismissed with prejudice, and he is released from the obligation of his bond. Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Good day.
All right, so there we go. The conclusion of the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Yeah, dude, I tell you what, whenever I seen that the first time, oh yeah, I teared up, dude, because you can see immediately on Kyle Rittenhouse's face just how emotional he really was. I mean, dude, this has been a huge ordeal for him. I wouldn't have done as good as what he did, you know, standing right there. There ain't no way. I mean, his life was on the line, you know, it really was. And, you know, just, I know that the audio was kind of crap on that. There really wasn't a whole heck of a lot I can do on it. And I know it was only coming out of one channel. Again, that was kind of something that I really couldn't do a whole heck of a lot on. But just as a, you know, it was not guilty on all counts, and that was a unanimous decision. And then at the end of it, and this was after the jury had left the room, the judges had actually sent them upstairs. He was going to go over some stuff with him. It kind of sounded like the judge was going to talk about some of the concerns of the jury as far as harassment or anything like that, and of which case the judge was more or less going to tell them that, you know, we will, you know, we're going to protect you. You're the jury. We're not going to stand for you guys being harassed at the you know, end of these proceedings. And that's more or less what it sounded like. And then at the end of it, you know, it was, you know, we're asking on a ruling from the, you know, a ruling from the judge about the, you know, the not guilty. And of course, nobody objected to it. You know, the state didn't object to it. And so, you know, charges are dismissed with prejudice, can't be recharged for any of those crimes. And it was also a, you know, he got his bond money back, you know, so that was pretty stinking awesome. Holy cow. Amazing. You know, and I tell you what, I was kind of, I guess you can say, shocked on all this. I kind of was. And here's why. You know, 3.5 days on something that it should have been like, you mean what, like 10 minutes they should have deliberated for? Not much. Definitely not 3.5 days. You know, should they have been deliberating on this? And it was an aspect of, now this is pure speculation. This is something that I heard. Nothing was confirmed. And you know, so I mean, take it for what it is. But yes, absolutely not. He could not be recharged again. And that's what that, you know, that's why I included that, you know, dismissed on all charge with prejudice, you know, because that's exactly what that means. He cannot be recharged for any of those. Now, here's kind of the thing on this, and this was something that I was actually kind of curious about. So let me see if that is in here. And I am not seeing it, of course. Yeah, he puts in here, he goes, I was shocked because of the social pressure of the media lies and propaganda, but I knew in my heart he was innocent. Yeah. And I was kind of the same way, because it was one of them things that, I mean, yes, you had so much pressure, that, coming from, and this is one of the bad things too, because, all right, I fully believe that whenever you are talking about a high profile case, such as this trial, the Kyle Rittenhouse case, I fully think that the jury needs to be sequestered. I really do. Because if they are supposed to be getting their information only from the courthouse and the testimonies that, has been approved for them to get, then they shouldn't be able to, granted, now this is a pressure on their families, this is a pressure on their lives. But if this is the only space that they're supposed to, inside that courtroom, while they're sitting there in their respective chairs, if that's the only information that they're supposed to be getting, then they should be sequestered. No TV, no social media, no nothing. A phone to call their family, sure. But, just so that, just in case it's a 3.5 week, or a 3-week trial, that one at least I am okay with. However, strict information as far as you cannot talk about the case, period. I fully believe, especially in high profile cases, the jury should be sequestered, because that's kind of one of the things that made this a little surprising for me. They wasn't sequestered. They were allowed to go home. They were allowed to, watch social media, watch TV, watch news, watch the news and different things like that. All kinds of different places where their opinion could have been swayed. But I'm glad that in the end, it was the evidence was able to come through. That's one of the things about this. The evidence came through and the truth was sought. The truth was, it finally came down to it. Now there was a couple things that I was actually kind of curious about as far as what was Kyle Rittenhouse actually charged with. And I seen an article. Let's see, was that one on? Okay, so I seen an article. Let me go ahead and pull that up again. Did I keep that one up? I think I did. Yep, I did. And nope, and nope, and nope, and nope, and okay. So let me go ahead and get back up to the top. Holy crap. I didn't plan this very good. Okay, so here we go. Now this article is from Axios, okay? Now this is what Kyle Rittenhouse was actually charged of, and I'm going to be honest with you, this is the first time I'm reading about, all 5 charges. I knew some of them, didn't know all of them. There was actually 6 that he was originally charged with. One that was dismissed, I believe it was pre-trial. During, before the trial, it was dismissed early on. So let's go ahead and take a look at those. Let me pull that up right now. So here we go. This is from Axios. Now this one, I'm not doing I'm not doing a magazine on this. So I'm going to give you as much detail as I can as far as where these articles are that I am looking up. This way you guys can see them for yourself if you are interested. But this one from Axios, this was updated, it says 2 hours ago. And the headline is Kyle Rittenhouse found not guilty on all charges. Scrolling down, the charges include first-degree intentional homicide, first-degree reckless homicide, attempted first-degree intentional homicide, and 2 counts of first-degree reckless endangering safety. Now, this one's a weird one. The jurors were given the option to consider lesser charges on some of the counts. He originally faced 6 counts, but the judge dismissed the possession of a dangerous weapon by a minor charge ahead of closing arguments on Monday. Okay, so I was wrong on the time frame on that. So there you go. That's what he was actually charged with. Now, here's kind of my thing. First degree, No. That's premeditation, guys. First degree, that's premeditation. That's why evidently they threw in there, given the option to consider lesser charges on some of the counts. So I'm assuming that's what those are talking about. The first degree intentional homicide and the first degree reckless homicide. I'm not sure what the difference. Well, okay, obviously I know what first degree intentional homicide is. I'm not sure about the first degree reckless homicide. I have no idea. I don't even know. I was going to be honest with you. I don't know. But first degree, that's kind of like, okay, no, this wasn't premeditation. I'll go with second degree. Okay. But at any rate, he was overcharged from the get-go, obviously. Obviously. Now, there are a couple things that I'm wanting to talk about on this. Okay. Now, here's one of the things. Okay, now I don't know exactly how long the prosecuting attorney was an attorney. I'm really not sure how much experience he has under his belt. And I wasn't one of them people that was watching every minute of the trial, not at all. I got a job. I got stuff to do. I heard a lot of people talking about it, a lot of reports. I did watch some highlight reels. I did watch some videos on it. I really did. I kept up with most of what was going on. And, it was really one of them things that it seemed like to me, and I actually even talked about this with Brandon Gatton, host of the Machine Radio Show, and he kind of agreed with me on this. That because... Right, and this is also a case of which came first, the chicken or the egg. He did so much bumbling on this case, and he did some things that it's like, holy crap, did he do this intentionally to try to get a mistrial so he can come at this, hopefully not get it thrown out with prejudice that he couldn't be charged again, but did he do this intentionally to get this thing thrown out so that this way the prosecutor can come at it again and kind of fix his mistakes? Maybe it was maybe a chicken or an egg kind of thing. I don't know which one come first, but he definitely did some fumbles. He definitely did some bumbles. He definitely did some stuff that really didn't make any sense to me on what the heck he was talking about. Because, for instance, okay, whenever he was bringing up Kyle Rittenhouse's silence prior to the trial. It's like, dude, Fifth Amendment, you have the right to remain silent, and this is, law school 101. One of the, they teach you this day one. You don't go into the court and bring up a defendant's silence, especially in front of the jury. You do not do that. They have the right to remain silent. You don't want to fight this battle. You're going to freaking lose. It's going to destroy what you're doing, but he brought it up anyway. And the thing that was like, holy crap, and hello Machine over there in YouTube land, good to see you. And the thing that really was like, what are you doing here? The closing arguments, he brought it up twice in he brings it up. The judge tells the jurors to leave. He scolds them for it, gives them a spank. The jurors come back in. Not 5 minutes into it again. Yeah, Machine puts, yep, saw the howling mob face to face. Yeah, so, but the jurors come back in, not 5 minutes afterwards. He repeats what it is that he got in trouble for in the first place. And then the judge calls out the jurors again, says, you guys got to go. I got to reprimand him for doing something stupid. But it's like, dude, you just did something that constitutes a mistrial right there. And you did it twice, like back to freaking back. It's like, are you stupid or something? This is a stupid is, a stupid does moment. Absolutely. And yes, he was awesome, and I did have a lot of respect for that. I do have a lot of respect for this judge. And the funny thing is, and this is actually kind of cool, I laughed about this. I chuckled, okay? I don't remember what president appointed this judge. I really don't. But here's the thing. He's not he wasn't assigned. He wasn't appointed under a Republican. He's a Democrat. He is a Democrat. He's a Democratic judge. Democratic judge. He's a judge that was appointed by the Democrats, not the Republicans. Okay? So that just goes to show you that it's not about party politics. I mean, granted, I'm just going to be honest with you. I mean, party politics will tell a lot, especially depending on what their age is. Party politics will tell you a lot about what the person believes and whatever. But especially whenever you're talking about somebody whom is as old as he is, this is somebody who seems to me like he is probably I don't know how old he is. Just going to throw this out there. He's a JFK Democrat. Kind of along the same lines as, what the, with Ronald Reagan. He was originally a Democrat until he kind of woke up and was like, they really don't have anything to do with what I believe in. They've kind of strayed from what I believe. And so, I'm going to change my affiliation on here. Now that's funny. First time also I ever agreed with a Biden statement. When interviewed, he said that he stands by the verdict. And you know what? You are so right on that, and that is so hilarious. That is absolutely funny. That is absolutely funny. But you know what? He didn't have any. He really didn't have any other choice. I mean, think about it. You think back on what he said by basically calling Kyle Rittenhouse a white supremacist, racially motivated, which doesn't make any sense to me because it's like, dude, you've got a white guy that shot and killed two other white guys and shot and injured a third white guy. How is any of this racially motivated? I mean, the only thing that you can talk about on that with this being racially motivated is the fact that it took place during a BLM riot. Notice I did not say protest. It was not a protest. It was not a protest. Now, here's another aspect about this because, a lot of people, I mean, you guys do. You guys know. But there's a lot of people out there that don't really seem to understand who these people are with Joseph Rosenbaum, Anthony Huber, and Gage Grosskreutz. I'm not pronouncing that right. I'm sure I'm not. But here it is for you. Rosenbaum served 12 years in prison for a sexual offense against a minor. And I believe there was actually multiple minors in this. Anthony Huber found guilty of multiple violent offenses, including strangulation. Grosskreutz, convicted of burglary and weapons charges, and he was not legal to carry a firearm, but yet they don't want to put that in there. They don't want to talk about that. So yes, all three of these people were felons. All of them. Just like in the case of, George Floyd, these are not people who should be heralded, a statue erected as, these are just the people whom we need to worship. Holy crap. I'm glad I plugged that thing in. Hello, Brandon. You are on the air. How you doing? Crap. Hold on. All right. There we go. How you doing?
Now, how'd you know it was me?
Your name came up. I'm so Smarticus. How you doing, sir?
Well, I'm kind of insulted, though. I have to press one for you when it should be pressed one for me. I am the better looking one.
Well, I can't argue that. I really can't.
I know.
Yeah.
It's hard being this beautiful.
It is.
Yeah. If you believe that, I've got, oceanfront property right here next to me.
Oh, yeah.
Anyhow,
Oh, yeah.
when you were talking about the Rosenbaum,
Yes.
Yeah, I was there, as you know,
Yep.
and one of them actually argued, and it was one of the prominent BLM members. So what? He liked to touch kids. He actually said that to my face.
You know, that's the thing, and it's a disgusting aspect of it, okay? The truth is, the Democrats are trying to normalize that type of behavior, and they're transitioning it from a crime to it's just a sexual preference, like being gay or a lesbian. It's not a crime, it's a sexual preference. And instead of calling it pedophilia, they're calling it a minor, an MAP, minor something or another, something or another.
Yeah. Mass.
Yeah. I don't remember what MAP is.
Minor attracted person.
Yes, thank you. Minor attractive person. But yeah, I mean, that's what they're doing, though. I mean, they're trying to redefine what a pedophile is. And it's like, holy crap, dude, really? I mean, that's just, yeah. Yeah. MAP.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Yep. MAP, MAP.
Mm-hmm.
But when they said that, I was sitting there like, okay, so let me get this straight. As long as they are protecting your interest, as long as they are there for your cause, it's okay if they put their dingling in some wicked butt.
Apparently.
They were not happy that I said that, and a small scuffle had ensued. But, I was there looking at them, and of course, I think some of them had actually backed off, not because somebody had told them not to touch anybody, but because my shirt, said press on it. Because I did ask it in the form of a question. And they just told them not to respond to me, so I stood there and asked a bunch of questions randomly for no reason at all. Since they didn't want to talk to me, I just figured I'd just start asking questions. Random questions, completely random questions. Like what they like in their coffee in the morning.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what kind of questions were you asking? Because
I actually asked that. I asked them what they like in their coffee in the morning. Stuff like that.
What was his response? What did he like in his coffee?
Apparently cock. But
right.
Anyhow. Back to the topic at hand.
Yep.
Yeah. Back to the topic at hand. After seeing this face-to-face, anybody out there who says that they are not a howling mob and that they are not completely unhinged and just looking for a fight, you're fooling yourself. I was standing there face-to-face with them for 3 days. I know exactly what they were doing.
Yeah, because you went up there expecting expecting them to finish up and come to a verdict a little bit sooner than what they did.
Correct.
So, yeah, you got to see the tension. You got to see, just how respectable they were acting, waiting for them to finish with deliberation. Yeah. So how respectable, how respected, how,
not very.
Okay, good. I'm glad you know what I was trying to ask. Yeah, thank you.
I'm picking up what you're putting down, homie.
Okay, very good, very good.
But not respect. They tried to give the appearance of such, but at any point, if you ask a question or wore anything that they didn't approve of, or even stepped on the sidewalk because they said that they owned it,
right? Yeah.
Then they would show otherwise. I had one of them she's known to be one of the biggest loudmouths in the BLM movement, yelling on a bullhorn, telling everybody who's not a part of the BLM or a supporter to get the F off of their sidewalk.
Yeah.
And I was walking towards them at this time. And I was walking down the sidewalk, and she pulls her bullhorn up, and she's like 3 feet from me, so it's blasting in my ears. And she goes, "That means you too, mother effer." And I looked at her and actually laughed directly in her face, and apparently she took offense to that, and so did the big fat guy that thought he was a badass because he was fat. And he started walking towards me, and I just looked at him dead in the eye and smiled and walked right through him.
Like, bring it.
Yeah. I was like, oh, please do it.
Right.
I'm like, trust me, you ain't going to get a chance to fat on me, bud. But there was definitely altercations that popped out. Nobody wanted any sort of dialogue. Nobody wanted to talk, to hear anything other than their own opinion. And their own opinion was, if he walks, we're going to riot. If he gets charged and convicted, well, we're still going to riot for celebration. That's all they're worried about.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, and I fully believe this one too, that, it didn't matter because they were all geared up for a fight. They were all geared up to have a riot. It doesn't matter, what actually happened. There was going to be some looting. There was going to be some arson. There was going to be some fires, I think simply put, they want the city to burn for whatever reason.
Yep. And
Day Trip put in here, he goes, let's defend rioters and pedophiles. That's what I thought when they interviewed one of the victim's girlfriends, and she was so sad that he was gone. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and the one that person on YouTube was talking about, I can see the comments too, because all I did was kind of quiet the video.
Right.
What the one that person was talking about is Anthony Huber's girlfriend, who happened to be standing right next to me for several minutes. Really? And Huber was he was a violent felon. In fact, I don't know if it was that girlfriend or the girlfriend before, he imprisoned her, he beat her, he did all manner of dangerous, terrible things to her.
Right. I kind of figured that was one of them that, was the victim of the domestic violence. I kind of figured that was her for whatever reason.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and that Gage, I was hoping that Gage would show up because I really want to get face to face with him. But, the one
I would just want to get a better picture of his arm. I mean, granted, I've seen pictures of his arm before and after. Well, before, middle, and after, but
now I can't be the only one that was sitting there eating a cheeseburger watching his arm get blown off.
No, not at all. I was definitely like, okay, I can see that.
But then again, I'm the sick, twisted person that was sitting there at his desk on lunch, eating a medium steak while watching the Jeffrey Dahmer videos. Yes, that happened.
I'm not surprised.
I didn't realize it at the time. Then I looked up and looked down at the steak. I'm like, okay, I can't be the only person that's ever done this.
No.
But anyhow, back to the case. I said from the beginning, Jared, I know you can agree with me on this, that it wasn't just Kyle that was on trial for one. It was the AR-15, it was the Second Amendment, and it was your right to self-defense. All three of these were on trial. Kyle was just happened to be the person.
And you're absolutely right on that, and I don't know how many people actually understood the gravity of this case and how much it would affect everybody. Absolutely everybody.
Correct. And now I can guarantee you, with that precedent, because remember, Wisconsin is Democratic.
Yeah.
For the most part, full Democrat. So I guarantee you right now, what's going to happen is after this trial, they're going to come up with new laws to screw anybody who tries to stand their ground.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I forget which trial it was, but there was something that happened, some type of a shooting, a trial that, you know, like I don't know if it was like shortly after the shooting or shortly after the end of the trial, but there was a law that was passed, you know, basically addressing whatever it was that actually happened. I don't remember. Forgive me. I apologize. But, you know, right after that, you had laws getting written, you know, and I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, let's just say you know, like the charge that was dropped on Kyle with the possession of a long rifle. That's something that, you know, they'll probably, you know, change that coming up real soon. You know, if that's something that a lot of people agree that, you know, that shouldn't have happened. You know, especially whenever you have mainstream media that was going, oh, this was illegal. This was illegal. Actually, no, it isn't. But, you know, whatever, you know.
Yeah. And that was the thing is, you know, people soon forget, and I prove this over and over again. I spent 5 years as state coordinator for a gun rights organization, correct?
Yes.
That was for the state of Illinois.
Yes.
Wisconsin didn't have a coordinator for that particular gun rights organization, so I had taken on Wisconsin as well, so I knew Wisconsin law.
Yeah.
Especially when it came to the Castle Doctrine, you know, well, I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right, self-defense, anything else like that. Had it all on my desk.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime somebody would say something like, here, look at this. No, that's not right. I was like, that's the direct statute from the state of Wisconsin. Nobody wants to listen to it, and that's exactly what's going on with these, with the BLM showing up there and everything else like that. That they don't care about the rule of law. They don't care if the system is correct. What they want is what they want, and that's all there is to it. They have no other designs other than their own. That was very, very apparent when I was there.
Yeah. You know, and you're absolutely right. You know, in a day trip put on here, he goes, yes, amen, Brandon. And I believe he was talking about with the, you know, right to defend being on trial. He goes, it was a fight for us to defend our communities on trial, and absolutely it was. You know, but that's the thing, though. You know, going back to what you were talking about. Isn't that just a problem that a lot of people have? You know, because everything, at least whenever you're talking about the court of public opinion, everything is about feeling, oh, this doesn't, you know, we didn't like him there, and so it should be illegal for him to be there. But they're not actually talking about what's actually legal versus what's actually illegal. And the terrible thing is, or the extremely sad thing is, these people really aren't interested in changing the laws. I mean, case in point, look at immigration laws. You know, they've had an issue with immigration ever since before Ronald Reagan, that they've been complaining about the immigration system being broken. Okay, fine. Have they fixed it in that time frame? No. But what have they done, you know, numerous times? It's all about amnesty. It's all about, we just got to let these people come across. Oh, you got to, you know, the anchor babies. I almost said ankle babies, but whatever, you know, the anchor babies and what have you. But it's like they're not actually interested in changing the law and fixing the problem, because in a matter of speaking, if they can get the public, everyday people, to bow down to their will versus the law, then that's just more power that they have over the public. And I think that's what it amounts to. It's a version of power that they have that they're okay with.
And believe me, I know about the court of public opinion. I'm apparently going through that myself. But
yes, you are. Yes, you are.
But don't do the right thing.
We're not getting into that.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, don't do it.
I'm not.
Yeah. But, you know, like I said, I desperately tried. I mean, I seen the, you know, the signs and everything else like that, and I'd ask him, he was like, well, what is your thoughts? What makes you think that way? Well, he's a murderer. I'm like, okay, well, tell me why. Well, because he shot people. I was like, but tell me why he did so. Because he felt like it. And I'm like, really? Can you tell me why you think that? Because the video shows otherwise. And and they'd immediately circle back around like Peppermint Patty and go, well, he was a murderer. I'm like, for what? they could never actually state their case. And
Yeah.
one of them tried to and said, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm agreeing with you.
No, and one of them actually tried to and said, well, those three were at a BLM rally, so therefore, we're for them. I'm like, okay, so what you're saying is you're okay with pedophiles and woman beaters and just all out criminals as long as they're for you. It doesn't matter. So they're basically honorary BLM, is what you're trying to tell me.
Precisely.
And he refused to talk to me anymore.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I've talked about before in the past too, talking about the, what was the Subway guy that, not Jared, not him, a different Subway guy, the one that was coming home, had the noose tied around his neck from the two people that ended up being, people from Nigeria that ended up, the whole thing was staged. You know who I'm talking about. But anyway, it's like, the left wants to say that, this needs to go to trial and we need to hear about this because this is systemic racism that is so, that is so prominent in our nation that we have to pay attention to this. But it's like, wait a second. If this type of racism is so prominent, then why can't you give me an example of actual racism to be the backdrop of your point and the poster case of your point instead of using something that is clearly and obviously a hoax? It's like, why?
Right.
If it's so prominent, then you shouldn't have to have a hoax as your poster in defense of what it is that you believe. You shouldn't have to use that. You should have all kinds of cases that you can go back on and say, yes, this is prominent. We need to fix this. But no, that's not the case.
Justice for Juicy Smollett.
Yes. Yeah.
The French actor, Justice Julie.
Yeah, Smollett or whatever. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Smell something. I don't know.
Yeah. That was wonderful. That's a good one.
And the same thing with this one. It's like, again, this is complete and utter racism. It's like, really, who was shot by whom? That's my question. If this was racism, then it was a white guy that shot 3 other white guys. How is that racism? And if that is racism, we are the worst racists. Jesse Smollett. Yes, that's what a day trip gave me over there. But yeah, we're the worst racists ever. If that's what. Yeah.
Well, and that's like I was saying. They became, the honor. I said it in a different way, and I guess I made a few people mad, but that's just going to happen. I said they basically, suddenly they became honorary black people and became honorary BLM.
Right. Yeah, I remember
you
saying that.
Yeah, and getting people to understand, I didn't mean it in a racial way. I just meant is this what it takes for them to acknowledge that you since you're a different color, you're a good person.
Right. That's like the honorary alumni or whatever from people that represent what. Yeah. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, and that I had somebody actually get back to me on that, and say, well, that sounded really racist. I'm like, okay, so it sounded racist to you, right? Can you tell me why that might have sounded racist to you? And I said, well, because you said honorary black person. I said, no. I was like, you're mistaking what my intent was, and that's why I corrected myself and said honorary BLM. And I was like, because it seems to be the only time that they're okay with another race other than their own is when you're kissing their ass or doing something on their behalf.
Right.
Like, but otherwise you're just not, you're whatever, name your cliche, name your your words, whatever you want to call us, anybody, it isn't them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's, I've heard over the years, I've heard it all, and I'm the furthest thing from having an issue with anybody because of the color of their skin. But I've heard, I've been called everything but my name.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, you got anything else? I got just a couple other points I'm wanting to cover before hanging the show up. So you got anything else to add?
No, sir. Go right ahead. I'm sorry I jumped on and bugged you.
Hey, that is quite all right. You had some good points to throw in there, and I do appreciate it.
All right. Well, you have a good one. And to your listeners out there, hello. Take care now. Bye then.
All right. Thank you very much, y'all. You have a good one.
All right.
Yeah, bye. All right. So that was Brandon, host of the Machine Radio Show, co-owner of Weaponized Sloth Productions. But I got just a couple other things that I'm wanting to talk about before we hang this one up. And one of the is talking about, with the some of the things that the prosecution did, and one of those being the tampering of evidence. Now this was something that there was a lot of stuff that was brought up about this video, this drone footage video. There was a lot of stuff that was brought in on this. Okay. And one of those things that was brought up was about the file being different. Okay. Now, this was, I believe, something that was brought up, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was like 2 days before closing arguments, if I'm not mistaken. And they gave, they had a file and they had a video that they showed, and the defense asked for this very same file, and the file that they sent over was obviously different file name, the whole 9 yards. It was obviously different. Okay. What I'm going to show you is differences that was in there. And there's even something in here that I did not know previously, but we'll look at that. Okay. Sorry about that. Had to cough. So here is the difference in resolution, not revolution. Here's the difference in the revolution. For those of you that are viewing, on the left, you have the original. On the right, you have what was sent to the defense. Okay. So the resolution size, as what is, circled in red on the top one, it's obviously a different size. 19 by 20 by 844 is the resolution that the defense has. I'm sorry, the resolution that the prosecutors had, that the state had, and 1280 by 560 is what the defense got. The frame format, or the frame rate, was different. 29.94 what the heck ever, and then a frame rate of 30 frames per second. Now, here's the thing, guys. All right. Now, this is actually kind of telling. Okay. Because anytime, all right. Now, for anybody that has done any editing on video, okay, this is actually kind of telling. Because whenever you're talking about frame rate from a camera that you are recording, it may say 30 FPS, but it is actually closer to 29.97 is what the frame rate actually is. Even though it says it's 30, it's not. It's 29.97. The same thing goes if you're doing something that, you're recording from an action cam. You're recording from, a video camera. If you set it to 30 FPS for your frame rate, you're actually getting 29.97. And the details, especially if you are doing any type of editing to that video, the details will show 29.97. I had that just earlier today, actually. Okay. So that's pretty telling. But whenever you are, let's say, making your own video, taking that action cam footage from, your action cam or your drone footage from your drone, and you are turning it into a video, like the action cam would be the 29.97, or in this case, 29.948674, whatever. And then once you get done doing the magic that you do, you render it in 30 FPS. What you render will be in 30 FPS. It will not be in 29.97. The original will be lower than what your rendering is, that the video you created was. So here's the thing, okay? I know I got in deep on that a little bit. I apologize. But I hope you guys are picking up what I'm throwing down. Let's look at a couple other details and then we'll actually spell it out for you. Now, this is something that they didn't talk about originally, but look at the audio on this. The audio that the state had was stereo at 48,000 hertz. The audio that was given to the defense was 44,100 hertz. Guys, that doesn't just happen. That's intentional. Here's what it is I'm talking about. Because one of the things that the state tried to claim was that it just happened. This was automatic compression that was done by, whatever it is that they actually used. This wasn't intentional. This was a complete accident. But what I'm here to tell you is, and that this very much shows that this was no accident. This was intentional and very easily could be considered tampering with evidence that the state did. That's tampering with evidence. That right there is very clear tampering with evidence. You don't just do that. This was intentional. As somebody who works with files, as somebody who, will get footage and render projects, yes, this was intentional. They took a high definition with a higher sample rate on audio, and they rendered it into something that was more compressed, something that didn't have a high enough of a sample rate in the audio, something that had a lower resolution, something that was not even half the file size of the original. This was obviously tampering with evidence. And yes, wow. I work with files, guys. I've taken original drone footage, action cam footage. I've rendered it into something else. You don't get this type of thing unless it is done intentional. And here's the thing. Why didn't they just do a quick test right there? Instead of arguing about it in the courtroom for however long they argued about it, it's like, okay, hold up a second. And this is something that the judge easily could have done, is hold up, wait a minute. Let's do a test right here, right now. What did you use to transfer it and what file did you transfer? Oh, you transferred this one, the original file that was 11 megabytes of what the file size was. Okay. How did you transfer it? You transferred it using your phone? Go ahead and do it. Let's have somebody over your shoulder look at it and verify you sent the 11, the one that you claim to have sent. Okay, now let's go over to this. You sent it? Okay, good. Now let's go over here. Did you receive this? Yes. Oh. You mean to tell me he sent a file and you received that same file? Well, yeah. Mr. State Prosecutor, how is that possible? Because here's the thing too, guys. Let's go back to this. The file on the left and the file on the right. Okay. As in the file that the state had and then the file that the defense got had a different file name. And as somebody who's worked with files, that doesn't just happen. In fact, if it's let's say you have more than one copy of the same file on your computer, unless you specifically tell it to overwrite, like you download multiple ones, it'll just add in parentheses a number to it. The original won't have that. And then the next one will have a parentheses 1. And then the next one after that will have a parentheses 2. It's not like it assigns a new file name. It does not. So that, again, different file name, evidence that the video was tampered with. They specifically took one video that had a high resolution, rendered it to a smaller resolution, gave it a new file name, lower amount of pixels, poor quality pictures, less good audio, not like the audio even mattered because this was drone footage, but it still bears the mention that it's there, tampering with evidence. Yeah. Scandalous, absolutely. Holy crap. But there's a lot of things that the prosecution did wrong. That's one of them. Bringing up, Kyle Rittenhouse's Fifth Amendment right to be silent, not speak, not do pressers, not talk to people. That's another one that the prosecution brought up multiple times. It's like, dude, are you trying to get a mistrial on this? This is stupid. Not to mention the prosecutors, having no idea how to operate a gun, pointing it at the jurors and other people, with this finger on the trigger. I know there was a lot of people that was like, what the heck? Who do you think you are, Alec Baldwin? I mean, what in the world, guys? Don't mind that last. Yep. Brandon puts in there, he goes, let's put our booger hook on the bang switch and flag the whole friggin' courtroom too. Yeah, exactly. And target rounds are armor piercing. Yeah. There was all kinds of stupid things that happened in this trial, but I tell you what though, I am glad, that justice was had, because this was an obvious open and shut case for a self-defense, especially whenever you take the videos, and I'm not even talking about the drone footage, but the actual video, that was taken on multiple people's devices, the eyewitness testimonies, you take all of that into consideration. It was obviously self-defense. It was obviously self-defense. And I'm glad that justice was done. I really am. And I really hope, now this is a hope beyond hope, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't have a lot of faith on this, but I hope that things are not too crazy in Kenosha tonight. I really do. I hope that people go home and mind their own business. And if they're going to party peacefully. If they are going to not party, hopefully they do it peaceably. That's what I hope. I hope tomorrow isn't a day when I got to go on my regularly scheduled program and talk about the riots of what happened after the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. I really hope I don't have to do that. I don't want people to lose their life because people are stupid. People don't understand the law and they don't care because they put more weight in talking points and narrative because guns are bad, okay? That's what I don't want to see. Don't want to see that. I'm glad justice prevailed. I'm glad Kyle Rittenhouse was found innocent. All kinds of memes have been floating around, and I tell you what, I've been loving every one of them. Just loving every one of them. Awesome memes going around out there. So, all right, guys, that is really all I got for you today. A little bit longer than I intended, but you know what? That is okay. And thank you, Brandon, for calling in. Good conversation. Definitely good conversation. So, guys, I believe there was a question I had in here, but I don't remember what it was. Something that I threw in here. Let me actually throw that up. I do have show notes that I did type up. Not really show notes, but, whatever. Yeah, so I guess the question that I was going to ask, is should the judge have thrown out? Yeah, this is important. Let's go ahead and do this right quick before we hang it up. Should the prosecution have thrown out the trial long before he did? Should he have? He definitely had numerous opportunity where he should have, maybe could have. But in all honesty, especially considering some of the attacks that the judge was getting, because having, proud to be an American, I believe he had an American flag tie on. Those things that remind you of other things, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But, should the judge have thrown out the trial the numerous times where he should have? Because he had at least 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 chances that the prosecution screwed up so bad that, a mistrial was justified in doing that, and even a mistrial with prejudice to where no other charges can be brought up against Kyle Rittenhouse, indefinite acquittal of all charges. Should he have? Should he have thrown it out? Now, here's the thing. I understand the saying yes on that he should have thrown out the trial a long time ago whenever the prosecution first did things in order to, throw the whole thing out. Whenever he first really started screwing up and making rookie mistakes as a seasoned prosecuting attorney, I definitely understand that. But here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. To let the trial play out in its entirety, to let the jury deliberate in its entirety. And yes, you too have a great day, and I do appreciate you stopping by. But allowing them to do that, allowing them to deliberate, allowing the trial to continue, he allowed justice to happen. He allowed justice to happen. Now, whether or not at the conclusion of the trial, if the judge would have thrown the whole thing out afterwards, if he was found guilty and the judge just would have thrown everything out and, mistrial with prejudice, who knows? But he had the opportunity, but he also allowed the jury to do what the jury was entrusted to do their job. So yes, he could have, maybe he even should have, but I'm glad that the judge allowed it, at least allowed the trial to continue and the jury to deliberate, because they got the acquittal. They got the not guilty. And even if he was found guilty, darn good and well, there would have been immediately I don't want to say a mistrial, but immediately it would have been an appeal. This. We all know this, But let me know, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Let me know in the comments, because I am curious. So y'all have yourself a great one. I do appreciate y'all stopping by. Good night, sleep tight, and if the bed bugs bite them back. This has been The Ho Ho Show. For more information, you can head to thehohoshow.com. And for the merchandise store, you can head on over to stinkpickle.com. That is stinkpickle.com. Until next time.